Hello, all. So, today we are going to talk about a topic that is, I would say, within the top five topics that people ask me about, and that would be macros. And one of the reasons why is because people always they know me for, okay, what are the macros? What are the macros? That's my question. If you offer me anything or you're asking me a question about a snack or a product you're checking out, my question is always, what are the macros for? Because macros are important. So I picked that as one of the first topics that I wanted to touch on. And it was one of the things that were suggested by some of the folks that I talked to. They said, talk about macros because it's something that I talk about all the time. So you might say, what are macros? And macros is short for macronutrients. And so in all the foods that we eat, there are three macronutrients, and that's fats, carbohydrates, carbs, protein. So fats, carbs, and protein. They're in all the food that we eat, in one composition or another. There are some foods that are only composed of fat. Some foods that only have carbohydrates. Some foods that only have protein. But a lot of the foods and many of the foods that we eat have a variety or various amounts of all three. So, why is knowing about macronutrients important? Because we need to know what it is that we are consuming. Otherwise, we're kind of trusting, we're just throwing things in our system and not knowing why we're putting those things in there. It's like fueling up a car, but you're just picking anything to put in your car as fuel. You need to know what it is you're putting into your vehicle, your home, you know? So, you should know what foods are fats, or you should know what food is carbs and what foods are protein, because they all serve different purposes within the body as well. The fats serve a purpose, the carbohydrates serve a purpose, the proteins serve a purpose. So you may be going throughout your day missing, some are having minimal amounts of fat, which are important for your brain, important for your hormones, important for all these different things. You could be missing carbohydrates and be tired and not have that extra fuel. You could be missing protein and you're working out really hard and you're tearing up that muscle and you're just not getting the growth that you want because you're not feeding it. You're not feeding that lean mass with any protein. So that's why it's important that you know what food is what. Food education is huge to me, knowing about food, because once you know about food, you can then design your diet or your way of living in a flexible way. And that's why I enjoy tracking macros. And I've been doing it. I started in about 2012, and I've basically been tracking macros since then, and it's so second nature to me. It's almost like a background language. So even when I'm not tracking macros on like an app or anything, or paper, I'm tracking macros back here in my mind when I go to eat a meal and things like that. I already know when the meal is presented to me at a restaurant, I can take a look at it, by knowing how it was prepared or what ingredients are in it. And when I take a look at it, I can know, okay, this is about how many carbs are in here. This is about how much fat is in here. This is about how much protein is in there, because I've taken the time to study what food is what. And I say study because I say study, that sounds really like hard and like, oh man, this is going to be difficult. Like it's a difficult learning curve. And it's not. It's just about building up a knowledge about food. And any and everyone can do it. Even my 9-year old, just by being with me, can identify proteins and she can identify um, fats and carbs. She can't identify them all, but just by me not even purposely teaching her, but her kind of soaking in the environment, she knows what's what. And I'm hoping that that serves her well one day. So, getting back to macronutrients, um, when you're tracking macros, what you're doing is breaking down the amount of calories that, say, your coach said you need this amount of calories. Eating within this amount of calories should help you lose weight. And you can break down those calories into a certain number of grams of fat, a certain number of grams of protein, and a certain number of grams of carbohydrates. Now, there should be no cookie cutter macronutrients that a coach gives you. It shouldn't be 5 women within a group and you all have the same macro breakdown. You all have the same calories. You all have the same fat, carbohydrates, and protein. You have different builds. You have different foods that you may be more inclined to eat to stay consistent with the diet. So there should be no cookie cutter macro breakdown that anyone gives you. So you work with someone to personally get, okay, what's my calorie amount, and then what macronutrient breakdown to work best for me. Protein, once you have your protein set, that remains pretty stagnant, and then you can kind of play around with carbs and fat and things like that. Some diets determine the macronutrients that you are eating, whether you know it or not. Like some people say, well, I'm choosing to eat keto. If you're choosing to eat keto, a facet of that is the grams of fat are high, the carbohydrates are low, and usually the protein is moderate. Sometimes people have done keto with a little higher protein, but that generally is the breakdown of the macronutrients when you're on a keto diet, or like when someone says I'm on a low fat diet. What does that mean? It means the macros for fat, the grams that you're consuming is low. The carbohydrates are a little bit higher, and the protein is whatever your protein is set at. So, what we're going to do today is I'm going to play a game or an activity, if you will, with a special guest, and we will give them macronutrients, a calorie breakdown, and walk them through planning a day and what their day typically looks like, macro wise, and giving them a picture of, once you know about macros, how you can make those changes and modifications. So check it out. Hello, all. So I am here today with a special guest, and the special guest, who's still in my face, is we'll call her Mom for today. That will be her name, and she's going to assist me today with going over how we track macros. So I've kind of created it should be a fun and easy way that anyone could go ahead and track their macros. I want you all to know that it is not as complicated as it may seem. So for our example today, I've given Mom 1,510 calories. And the way that's been broken down is she has 50 grams of fat, and I'll show you the sheet here. She has 50 grams of fat. You probably can't see the numbers, but it's broken down: 50 grams of fat, 140 grams of carbs, and 125 grams of protein. Now, this is not something that you would just take and say, okay, I'm going to copy that exact thing. I would want you to work with a coach to figure out what your personal macros should be, what your grams of fat, grams of protein, and grams of carbs would be. But this is just an example. We're using these numbers so that you can use these same tools to figure out your day. So this is something I would suggest that someone does the day before they plan to eat this food. This is not something you want to do the day of so that you're rushing and trying to figure out. This is something we want to pre-plan so that we can do meal prep. We can make sure we have the groceries we need in line to get this all done. So also, what I've given her is her personal refrigerator. So in her personal refrigerator, she only has about 29 items. She has fat, she has carbs, she has protein, she has a variety of things in her refrigerator. But again, it's limited because when we have our fridge, we only have certain things in there. And this is a pretty decently stocked fridge. But a lot of times we only have certain things in our refrigerator. So I want you to be able to meet your macros with what you have available and know what things you probably need to have in there to plan a full day. All right, so this is your grocery list, Mom. And so let's start with breakfast. What would you like to have for breakfast? Oh, and before also, this is the part that helps with the budget counting. So her grams of fat, carbs, and protein are in Monopoly money for today. So this is her budget. She has a budget of fat. She has a budget of carbs. and she has a budget of protein. And so once that's gone, it's gone. She don't have anything else, so she shouldn't be eating anything else. So just like when we're tracking macros in real time, once your macros are gone, we shouldn't. There's no macro tree where we're producing more macros that you should be eating. That should be it. And we also don't want to underspend. Like a Dave Ramsey, like a envelope system where you're supposed to spend everything in your budget. There's not actually supposed to be money left over. We want to use everything that we have budgeted. All right, so now let's get started. And Mom, what would you like for breakfast? What would be a typical breakfast that you would enjoy?
2 eggs over easy with whole wheat toast.
Okay, so let's take a look. Are there eggs in there? Let's see. So you said 2 eggs. I do believe we have eggs in there are eggs in your refrigerator.
Yeah.
So 2 eggs. So that's going to be 12 grams of protein and 9 grams of fat. So 2 eggs over easy. And you said how many slices of toast?
Usually,
go ahead. Let's keep it real. How many slices of toast would you like?
Usually 2, but or a bagel. Okay. So you can say 2 if I have it with a bagel.
Well, there's no look through here. You have no bagel as an option. You do have 2 slices of toast, I believe. So let's look through here. Oh, you have 2 slices of wheat bread. Mm-hmm. So that gives you 10 grams of protein. That's going to be 42 grams of carbs and another 3 grams of fat. Now, let me ask you a question. What are you cooking these eggs
in? I have this spray pan.
Okay, so you're not using any butter?
No.
Or oil. Okay, so the eggs, we have toast. Is there anything else that you want in this breakfast?
If I have it, it'll be avocado.
Let's see. Do you have avocado? Let's take a look. I believe you do. Yes. Okay, you do have avocado. Now, this is half of, like, I believe a medium-sized avocado. Would you have half of an avocado, or would you have a quarter, or would you have the whole avocado? How much avocado are we talking?
Lately, I've been purchasing the really small ones.
Okay.
So I'll have a half of that and save the other half for another time.
Well, we're going to go with whatever size half this is. So we'll say that is 15 grams of fat, 8.5 grams more of carbs, and 2 grams of protein. So for protein, you owe me 24, so we'll say 25. So your protein came, this is a protein source. You got 12 grams from your eggs, you got 10 grams from your bread, and you got 2 grams from your avocado. So that's where we got a total of 24 grams. So you owe me, and we're just going to round that to 25 you owe me 25 grams of protein out of your budget. There.
I owe you 25?
Yep. And they're 5. Goodness. So let me get 5 of them. They're by 5.
Okay. Oh, they're by 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bank got a check.
Oh my goodness.
Sure. Maybe I should 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So breakfast is one of your bigger meals.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yes, definitely.
So that's 25 grams of protein. And let's see, you basically owe me 50 carbs from your toast, your avocado, because your eggs didn't have any carbs. So I need 10.
That's 50. 5 each.
Yeah, that's 10. You owe me. It's 50. You spent 50 carbs.
Oh my! Yeah. Me and my carbs.
Yeah. So you need to give me 10. Let's see. You need to give me 10. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. You owe me 5 more. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Got a double count. So now let's talk fat. You had 15 was your avocado, 9 was your eggs, and then 3 was from your toast. So that's 12. You have 27. I'll let you slide since you said your avocados are small. Go ahead. We'll take that to 25. Give me 25. You got 25 grams of fat. I need 25. So that's 5 of those, please.
I think I used my whole day's
I just want to let you know that now In her budget, she spent half of her fat for breakfast, but no takebacks. Let's see. So we've got 5, 10, 15, 25. So 25 grams of fat already went for breakfast. All right, let's go for lunch. Let's see. What are you having for lunch?
Lunch, oh, I usually have
What do you
keep in
usually?
mind I'm changing the way I'm doing things.
What do you
Okay.
typically have for lunch,
What do I
ma'am?
typically have for lunch?
Mhm.
I like lentils.
Okay, so we have lentils here. Would you have a cup or would you have half a cup? How much lentils would you have cooked?
I have a half to 3/4 of a cup.
A half. So we'll go with the half
You go with the
for our
half.
math purposes.
Okay.
So you're having half a cup of lentils, which is going to be 9 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs, no fat. So are you cooking those lentils in oil or butter?
No, I'm opening microwaving a packet.
How convenient. So what else are you having with these lentils?
I It may sound gross, but I like a scrambled egg with it.
Okay, so we're having another egg.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to let you know that's 3 eggs for today. Just noting for the cholesterol purposes. So 1 egg that we're having with the lentils. So that's going to be additional 6 grams of protein and basically 4.5 grams of fat. No carbs. So what else are we having with our lentils? So we're just having lentils and an egg, no vegetables, nothing like that.
No.
Okay. So for lunch, you owe me 15 grams of protein. So you owe me 3 of those 3 protein. All right. You owe me 20 grams for your carbs. So let me get 4 of those.
Oh my goodness.
All right. And it's 4.5 grams of fat. So we'll round that up to 5. Give me 1 of those. It's your 5 grams of fat. You got 5 grams of fat, man, because you put
Because I
that
put the
egg
egg
in
in
that.
it. It's an egg white. Can I mention that?
Oh, no, it's an egg. It's an egg. You said an egg. So it's an egg. Let me get the 5 grams of fat. No take backs. 5 grams of fat.
Oh my goodness, my fat's gone.
It's not gone, but you running lean on it. All right. So we're gonna do dinner first, and then we'll go back and see if she has any room for snacks. Yeah. Oh no, it's just 1. Remember, 1 represents 5 grams. So
Oh,
that's
one.
it. That's
Okay.
it. That's all of
Okay.
that goes in
Ooh.
your pile. All right. So what are you having for dinner, man?
I do poorly on dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what would you like to have for dinner out of your refrigerator? What do you
Out of
have
my
there?
refrigerator,
This refrigerator.
Yogurt.
Yogurt. So
Oh,
they
here it
have.
is.
No,
No,
it's
that's
on
no.
here though. You want Oikos Greek yogurt?
Oikos or
So
Faye.
here, you don't have Faye today. You only have Oikos in your refrigerator.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I only have
Vanilla.
Oikos.
Yeah. So that's what you would like for dinner.
Hmm.
Okay. What else are we having with this vanilla yogurt dinner?
Some every Sunday. Oh, I have to have it from
Oh
here. I have
yeah,
to
if
pick it
that's not
from
in
here.
your refrigerator.
Um,
So take a look and see what else you'd have. I'll put down this. Now this yogurt is giving her 15 grams of protein. It's giving her 7 carbs, no fat.
an apple. Because I keep apples here.
Okay. You'd like an apple. How many carbs are in that apple? 25 grams of carbs in that apple.
And one little apple.
Yes, ma'am. Depends if the apple's bigger than that, but 25 grams is not bad. So what else? So we're having a vanilla yogurt and an apple for dinner.
Mm-hmm. Well, mostly I don't do the vanilla yogurt. I just do the Faye.
Excuse this
Excuse me.
interruption. A yogurt and an apple, and then anything else in your refrigerator, this refrigerator, that you would like to have.
That I would have that. Am I looking from here? No, not really.
Okay, so you owe me 15 grams of protein. Let me get 15.
Ah,
3.
This is new money, so it's all sticking. It's all sticking together. It's not that I
Thank
can't
you.
count.
So the yogurt, you just gave me 15 grams of protein. And so now the carbs, it's 32 grams of carbs because of your apple and the carbs that came from your yogurt. So we'll say that's 30. So give me 30 of carbs. Did you already get? Oh, this is just, you just got them separated.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let me get 30 grams of carbs. Let me get 6 of those.
Here's 4.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And no fat. All right. So is any snacks that you would have during the day? Take a look at your refrigerator and see what snacks you have available.
Here.
Yes. So what type of snacks would you typically have? What would you like?
I like walnuts.
That's not an option, but there are almonds.
Okay, almonds.
So 1 ounce of almonds, that's what you would like?
I get the prepaid packs.
Okay. So they're typically sometimes separated in ounce amounts. So that's 6 grams of protein for that snack, 6 grams of carbs, and then 14 grams of fat.
Wow.
So we're going to go 5, 5, and 15. So I need 1 for protein, for your 5 grams of protein. I need 1 for your 5 grams of carbs. And I need 3 for your fat.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So that was the one snack you had. What would be another snack that you would have for the day? I don't believe. Let's take a look and see if cheese is an option. I don't think cheese is on there. Cheese is not in your refrigerator currently. So what else would you like as a snack?
Is cottage cheese on here?
Mm-hmm. There's cottage cheese.
Oh, okay, cottage cheese.
You want cottage cheese? So you're gonna have that cup of cottage cheese?
No. Be a half a cup.
You're gonna do a half a cup of cottage cheese.
I don't eat a whole thing.
Okay.
I don't like it like that.
So that's 12 grams of protein, 6 grams of carbs, and 1.5 grams of fat. So give me your 12 grams. We'll count this as your 12 grams of protein.
How much carbs?
Let's give me 1 for the carbs. And fat is 1.5. I'll let you hold on to that.
Okay, I was going to say, if I get fat free cottage cheese.
I'll let you hold on to that.
Okay.
Okay, and that will be your complete day. Okay. So now we're done, correct? Or unless is there a dessert snack or no?
No.
Okay. So she's completed her day. So let's take a look at what she has left over. So let's see. As far as protein, she has 55 grams of protein left over.
Ooh, that's a lot.
That's a lot. So out of our budget of 125 grams of protein, she has 55 grams of protein left over. And this is very, very common for a lot of people, that you give them the macros that are ideal for reaching their goal, which most of the time with clients I deal with, it's weight loss. So you give them the protein goal and then they fall really, really short of that protein goal. So many times people don't realize that they are not getting enough protein in their diet to sustain them, to help grow lean mass for their body. Wow. So that's almost 125. You almost half of your protein budget was not consumed.
Oh, wow.
And so let's take a look at the carbs. How many carbs she has left over? So she's got 30 carbs left. She did a little better on the carbs. And knowing my mom, we like carbs in this family. So we got a little closer to that budget. So instead of 140 carbs. She got 30 on the table, which, we like carbs. We want to enjoy our carbs. So let's not leave these on the table. So it was 30 carbs that did not get consumed. And for fat, we got really appealing, like 3.5, really. 3.5 grams of fat remaining. So she got the closest to the fat goal than she did any of them. So when you took a look at things like her eggs, having the eggs, having the avocado, having the almonds. So these things aren't bad, but the point is when you know more about food, you know what macronutrient you're consuming the most. So say she did want to cut her fat, it's ideal that she knows that, okay, where do most of my fat sources come from? They come from, I love the eggs, I love the avocado, I love the almonds. And so that's where that came from. See, if she had all her carbs, she wouldn't be yawning right now. But anyway, so when we take a look at her day, you know, we want to, like I said, eat all the macros that we've allowed ourselves for the day. So she could have had more protein. She could have had more protein at lunch. So she started off well at breakfast. At breakfast, she had 24 grams of protein. She had the 2 eggs. She had some bread that was kind of high in protein with 5 grams per slice. She had that. And the avocado gave her a little bit. So 24 grams of protein for breakfast was a great start. And then when we got to lunch and she went to just having lentils and just having an egg, that's when we see protein was only at 15 grams. And if she has 125 grams that she's trying to get to, having 15 alone at lunch is really kind of low. She would want to add more protein. What could she have done? If she's chicken, she could have added chicken breast to that. She could have had that with it. Her yogurt that she loves, she could have added that to her lunch. So that would have been an extra 15 grams on her lunch. And then she would have had 30 grams of protein at lunch. So let's go to dinner. So your dinner, ma'am, was more like a snack with the yogurt. And I'm glad that you were honest because this is how, people eat until they learn, okay, how do I have more balanced meals? So just having a yogurt and what was it, an apple for dinner, I understand some people are like, well, I like breakfast, so I prefer to have a heavier breakfast and things like that are fine, or I prefer a heavier lunch. But it can't be super, super light to where you're not meeting the macronutrients that you need. So her yogurt, that only gave her 15 grams for dinner, same as what she had for lunch. We want to double that up at least. When you have something like 125 grams of protein, she could have shot for 30 at breakfast, 30 at lunch, 30 at dinner. That would have given her 90, and then she only has so much she could have split between snacks. There's ways to have more balance within your meals. And her carbs, let's take a look at her carbs. She had 30 left there. Well, let me back up. Her protein, she could have had more protein in her snacks as well. Having the almonds are good. They're a great source of fat, but they're only 6 grams of carbs 6 grams of protein, excuse me, for the almonds that she had. So it's not really would be considered a high protein snack. And also, she had half a cup of cottage cheese. She would have been better off eating a whole cup of cottage cheese, but I let her have the half cup that she had because that, instead of her having a cup, which would have given her 24, she only had 12 grams of protein. So that left her snacks at only 18 grams. So she could have had more high protein snacks as well. But going to the carbs, she was closer to the carb amount. She could have had, her lunch that had the lentils and the egg, we would have had the little yogurt for dessert because we up in the protein there, and we could have had some vegetables. Could have some vegetables with those lentils. Saute some zucchini. You do that great. Some kale. All those vegetables are going to be pretty low in carbs, but you could have, upped and had a pretty substantial amount of vegetables. You could have fixed a large salad. You know how we eat the lentils with the salad together. What else? What else could you have done?
I would have. I like cooking quinoa and putting it.
That would have been great. And guess what? The quinoa would have also upped your protein.
Yeah, that's
so that's great. You could add the quinoa with the lentils.
I keep red.
You could have had a sweet potato. You like sweet potatoes.
Yes.
That's something that you could have added to up the carbs a little bit. And then also with your snacks, you could have had more carbs. Dinner, you had the apple, but you could have had more carbs in your snacks to kind of up that a little bit because that was at 12 to add up to the 30 that we're missing. And then when it comes to the fat, so really nothing I have to tell you too much about that fat because you were on target with almost hitting the 50 grams of fat. But we want to come as close as we can to those numbers. And the more you know about food, the better you will be at hitting your macro numbers. And so thank you for being my assistant for today. Did you have any questions or follow-up questions about the activity that we did?
Yes.
Sure.
My snack. I like crackers for a snack, and I like cheese. So I could put in that. That would change my protein because that's something that I do enjoy. But we're going from this refrigerator, so in reality, my refrigerator
would have cheese and crackers in it. Now, with that being said, and with the way you trended on this activity, I would say be mindful of the fat you're consuming. So if you choose to have cheese and crackers as a snack, be mindful of how much fat you're putting at breakfast, lunch, and things like that. Because your breakfast had 27 grams of fat in it. So it had half of your budget. So that's what we would want to take that down as far as not consuming half of our fat budget in for breakfast. So then if you lower that down a little bit, let's say you had 2 eggs there, maybe you could have an egg and a couple egg whites. Up your protein a little bit, take the fat down. Maybe we have a quarter of the avocado and not a half. Take some of the fat down of the avocado that you had. And then that way that would allow you to then add cheese as part of your snack. Now cheese is going to have more fat than it is protein, but you need to be mindful of those things. It does have protein in it, but and your crackers. So take a look at crackers. I mean, there's some crackers, not all crackers are created equal. You know, the crackers that we all love are usually, nice and buttery, full of carbs and fat. But there are some crackers. I know you like some of the rye crackers, some of the crackers that are like more seeds and nuts and things like that. So again, those might have
by Gabby. Gabby likes the premium saltines. No,
premium saltines. I'm not sure of the macros on saltines, but that's something you would want to look at and pay close attention to the serving size. So take a look at the serving size of that, and whatever those carbs and if this fat in those crackers, whatever the carbs and fat are, be mindful of that when you look at your budget of how much carbs and fat you have for the day. So then you can say, okay, I want to use that for my snacks on crackers. Of course, ideally, we want to spend the majority of our day eating more whole food sources. So, but that doesn't mean you can't indulge in your crackers and your cheese. But just be mindful. We ideally you want the least amount of processed packaged things that you're consuming within a day, and that's why these crackers wasn't on there. But So, any other questions?
So when I make this up, and I like the way you did this. I would use mine. I would shop particularly from the things that I really like to eat. Right. Because if I'm eating stuff that if I'm consuming what I like to eat, I can still stay within my macro limitations. And still enjoy the foods that I like to enjoy. I just have to be mindful of what my protein and stuff like that.
So I was going to say, it's 2 things you want to keep in mind when you're grocery shopping. You want to pick the things that you like, because ideally then you'll be more consistent with a diet that has foods in it that you actually enjoy. But you also, some people, the foods they like are not going to serve them in any way when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to macros. So that's why I said countering that with, okay, I know I need to be getting good protein sources, some whole food, some fruits and some vegetables need to be in there, some healthy fat sources. So keeping that in mind with the foods that I like.
Okay, my issue here is I didn't have enough protein to start my day because I had so much left out. So
well, you started the day pretty high. You had high protein, but you had as much protein as you had fat. You had 24 grams of protein and 24 grams of fat.
Oh,
just for breakfast.
It's breakfast.
Right. That breakfast is heavy hitting. But
if you notice, I had no bacon or.
I mean, you could have had the bacon if you didn't have the eggs and the avocado and everything else on top of it. You have to choose your battles. Okay. So again, when you're educated on food and know what is in what. So if I know bacon has fat, whole eggs have fat, avocado have fat, now I need to make a choice. If I like cheese, okay, now I need to make some choices. I know my fat needs to be divided within the day. I don't want to use up and eat 50 grams of fat for breakfast, or I don't even want to eat half of my macros and fat for breakfast. So now I need to make some choices about how much of either of something I'm eating. Maybe I don't eat 4 slices of bacon, I eat 1. Maybe bacon is something I only eat on an occasion. Like I said, cutting down on the avocado or using egg whites instead of eggs, or using 1 whole egg to 2 or 3 egg whites. So those are some of the choices that you can make, but you have to know about food and you have to know what macronutrients are in that food to be able to make those choices and make those decisions.
Okay. And I noticed ever since you introduced me to coconut oil, because that's something I never used to eat all the time. So I'd have less butter, but it's like when I like something, I really like it. Which is all of us. So now I'm with the coconut oil. So is there any, I can't, just tell me if, because I have a jar there, is there any protein in coconut?
So coconut oil is fat.
It's just pure fat.
It's just pure fat, plant-based fat. So good for you. There's nothing wrong with these things. There's nothing wrong with coconut oil. It's the amount. How much coconut oil am I using within a day when, again, I like all these other fat sources. So I have to be mindful of that. And so when I work with someone, I ask them those questions to ask them about their food, what they eat on a daily basis, to figure out, okay, you're more of someone, you really like your fats. So we need to make sure that is incorporated. We need to make sure you have that in your budget. Or you really love the carbs. You're not a fat girl, you're a carb girl. Or I love protein. I love to eat meat. I love to consume those sort of things. You can build your diet to something that you will consistently stick with, playing around with the macros. Now, our protein is something that once your protein is pretty set, protein is one of those ones that doesn't move around like carbs and fat can.
Oh, okay.
So we would more so play around with the carbs and fat than we would play around with protein. Your protein is your protein source, and then we can manipulate the carbs and fat from there.
Yeah. So for me personally, I do not get enough protein in. Because that's how
and we see the pattern when I just let you free for all pick what you wanted to and what your typical day was. We see that the protein was lacking, and that's not and I too I'm not a big meat eater, but I have to be mindful as not being a big meat eater. Where am I getting my protein from? I'm getting it from lentils. I'm getting it from quinoa. I'm getting it from edamame. I'm getting it from cottage cheese. I'm getting it from yogurt. I'm getting it, I even use some people don't like protein powder, but I like vegan protein powder. So I'll use a vegan protein powder. There's a variety of different sources of protein. You don't have to be stuck with meat and you don't like meat.
Yeah, I like muscle milk.
If that's the protein you want to drink, then,
I mean, like that I can put that in, but I have to consider the fat that's in it, or and the carbs.
Yeah, but those a lot of what they call RTDs, or ready to drink protein shakes. Usually the fat and the carbs are not that high unless you're dealing with like there's drinks that are like meal replacements, like an Ensure or something like that, and those are heavy on carbs, heavy on fat, because they're an actual designed to be a meal replacement. But when you're talking about ready to drink protein drinks. Those are usually protein, not that high in the fats, not that high in the carbs, unless you're doing like a really like a milk-based ones. I think like some of the Fairlife ones are.
So even if in my snack areas that I could substitute a protein drink,
you could
for that.
You could have put a protein shake in. You had those 30 extra carbs. You could have have a banana in there, some frozen berries. You could have put some almond milk or something like that in there,
like
or
bananas
water.
Because I consider that in my in my oatmeal, and I like overnight oats.
See, bananas were in your refrigerator. Yes. And you had vegan protein powder. You had whey protein powder. You could have made a nice smoothie for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about knowing what things are available for you and utilizing them.
Yeah, I had to stock my refrigerator because I threw away all my expired stuff because I knew she was coming to my house and she'd be checking out my refrigerator.
Yes, we for some reason we like to keep expired items in the refrigerator. I really don't understand why we like old things in the refrigerator.
I mean, I just hadn't.
It's okay.
All right.
Well, thank you. And if you guys have any questions about counting macros, macro tracking, if you have any additional follow-up questions, you can reach out to me here, leave a comment here, or you can reach out to me on IG at Mighty Fit One. We do classes or games like this that I've done at my local gym. So if you are again in the Metro Detroit area, these are some things that we can do, and you can walk it out when it's hands-on. I think it makes more sense when you can put your hands on it and count it out that way, so you can kind of learn and see how those things work. But thank you all. Be blessed.
I'm broke.